How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Chavtes, Daf 29 of Masechta Nedarim. Friends, we're talking today about, what were we talking about? Yeah, exactly. We're talking about the Mishnah from yesterday about when he says that, this sapling is going to be osir until it's cut down. So I'm going to talk about that whole thing, and then what happens when it gets cut down. So see machlokas between Ula and Rav Podo about how exactly that works. Interesting stuff, L'maisa, to an extent. All right, so we're going to start in the Chav Chesem Beis, about 5 lines from the bottom. So the Mishnah says that if you say that these saplings are going to be osir until they're cut down. All right. So Ula Olam. So we're saying that that's basically forever. So Amar Papa Padon Chozus Vikochis Padon Chozus Vikochis. That says Rav Pada that he says what these saplings are going to be osir until they're cut down. So until they're cut down, if you redeem them, they just go right back to being osir again, because you're saying that until they're cut down, then they're going to be osir. So just memele. Until they're cut down, if you redeem them, they're just going to go immediately back, revert to being osir. Ache yikotzitzu, until they are cut down. Niktzitzu, podon pam achas v'dayu. Now, once you cut them down, they don't automatically become permitted. You then have to redeem them, but that from that point on, they're redeemed. They don't revert back to being osir. Whereas Ula says no. The stipulation was that these saplings are going to be osir until you cut them down. Once you cut them down, in Mela they become permitted. Right? It's like a do while statement. Anybody, any JavaScript developers over here? I think is that a JavaScript thing or is that a Ruby thing? Who even knows? I feel like it's a JavaScript. Well, JavaScript is maybe while. There's every language has their own kind of way of do something until the condition is no longer met and then immediately break out of it. So according to Ula, he says, look, once the condition is no longer met, once the sapling is cut down, so memele, it's no longer osir. Okay. Amle Rav Hamnuna. Rav Hamnuna says to Ula, he says, I don't understand. Kedusha sheboin leichan olcha. I don't understand. Right? What magically goes away when it gets cut down? Right? Meaning we're saying that it's osir until it gets cut down. So prior to it being cut down, it's osir. So when it gets cut down, what changed in its status to make it permitted now? Uma'ilu omer li'isha, for example, if you say to a woman, Hayom at ishti, today, ilu omer li'isha hayom at ishti, u'lemacher iya at ishti, if he says to her today, you're my wife, and then tomorrow you're not my wife, minafka below get, what, does she just go, does she just move on without getting a get, without getting a bill of divorce? No way, no how. You have to give her a get. So just, you can't just once somebody has a certain status, it doesn't just go away. You have to actually, right, in the case of divorce, you have to give a get, and therefore, in the case of this sapling, that you say that it's osir until it gets cut down, once it's cut down, you're gonna have to redeem it. So Ula, I don't understand how, where did the kedusha that was on it before, where did it go magically when it gets cut down? Rava says to Rav Hamnuna, apples and oranges, says Rava. Apples and oranges. Because by a wife, that's kedushas aguf, right? Her person, she was married. And therefore, she doesn't get unmarried without something happening, without getting a get. Whereas over here, this is kedushas damim. This is monetary. This is value. This is a sapling that he said was going to be osir until it gets cut down. Once it gets cut down, so immediately the kedusha can just go away. Kedushas damim paka bichdi, kedushas aguf lo paka bichdi. That the kedushas damim can just kind of go away on its own when it gets cut down. But the status of a guf, of a body, of a person doesn't just go away like that, and you would actually need a get. Omle Abaye. So now Abaye says to Rav, Kedushas haguf lo paka b'chdi. So Ravia just said that kedushas damim, such as the sapling, when it gets cut down, can just immediately go away, which is not the case by marriage because that's kedushas haguf. Now Abai says, 1 second, is that really the case that by kedushas haguf it can't just go away on its own? V'atanya, but we learn in a brayse. Sure. Ze ola kol amid yom. If you say that this ox is going to be an ola offering for 30 days, ula'achal amid yom, and then after 30 days, shlamim, it just becomes immediately a shlamim. Kol amid yom ola, la'achal amid yom shlamim. So that's exactly what happens. So for the first 30 days, it's an ola, and then magically, after the 30 days, it becomes a shlamim. But amai, kedushas haguf ninu. Ufaka bichdi. And what do you see? What's going on over here? We see it's kedusha saguf. You're saying that this ox, this animal, is going to be in ola, and we're just saying that the kedusha just changes immediately after 30 days. You don't have to do anything. So we're saying that. Even by kedusha saguf, it can just go away. You don't have to do anything. So achab ma'askinan to amr l'dmei. So we say no, that's Davka talking about where he's makdish the animal, but only for not kedushas saguf, only kedushas damim. The Ran says that it's talking about where maybe it had a mum or something like that, so therefore it doesn't have kedushas damim. Fine, but we're saying Davka kedushas damim could go away, but kedushas saguf wouldn't simply go away like that. But if that's the case, ema seifa. If we go weiter in that brayse, so what does it say? What does it say? La'achal amid yom ola. If you say that now it's a shlamim, but after 30 days it becomes an ola. So punkt vaker. In the Reisha, it was first an ola and then a shlamim. Here it's first a shlamim and then an ola. So I understand if we're saying that, we have a Reisha here and a Sefer. If we say that one of them is talking about kedushas haguf and the other one's talking about kedushas adam, that's why I need both context, and for us to say that the kedusha just simply magically goes away after 30 days, the sagadaiti chamina, because I may have thought to say kedusha saguf lo paka bichdi, kedusha damim paka bichdi. I might think that only by kedusha damim can it just magically go away after 30 days, but by kedusha saguf you would actually have to, do something to release the value. You'd have to redeem it. So, so that is why we teach both the Reisha and the Sefer when it started as an Ola and then became a Shlamim, and when it starts as a Shlamim and then becomes an Ola, that one case is talking about Kedushas Damim, and one case is talking about Kedushas Aguf, and in both cases we're saying that the Kedusha can just go away on its own. But if you say that both the Reisha and the Sefer are talking about Kedushas Damim, why do I need both cases? Why do I need both? If when it's right, the Reisha says it's talking about when it starts out as an ola and then becomes a shlamim, we're saying the kedusha, the higher kedusha, right? Kedusha kala. So that's kedusha chamur, kedusha kala, right? It started as a more stringent kedusha, an ola, which entirely goes in the mizbeach. It's a higher level of kedusha than a shlamim, which is also enjoyed by the kohanim and the person who offers it, and by other people. And we're saying it just goes away on its own, even from a more stringent kedusha to a less stringent kedusha. Kedusha kala, kedusha chamura, tzricha lememar. Obviously, then from a more lenient kedusha to a more stringent kedusha, it would switch statuses. So it must be. So it says Abaye that what we're learning here is that both by kedushas damim and by kedushas haguf, the kedusha can just switch immediately on its own after 30 days. Okay, Beseder, so that was about his Kasha and Rava. But what do we see? So we see that by Kedushas Damim, at least by Kedushas Damim, it can just kind of switch on its own. So if that's the case, that seems to be a proof for Ula, who says that when you have the sapling, and you say that the sapling is going to be also until it gets cut down, and Ula says that when it gets cut down, it just immediately becomes permitted, you don't have to redeem it. So that seems to be in line with what we're saying over here, that by Kedushas Damim, at least by Kedushas Damim, Abaye seems to be proving that also by Kedushas Aguf even, it just goes away. The Kedusha just kind of goes away. Or it changes. So let's say that this is a Kasha, and Barpada who says that when you cut down the sapling, you then have to redeem it. The Amr Lo Paka Kedusha B'chti, that Barpada says that the Kedusha doesn't just simply go away. So Amr Rav Pape, Amr Loch by Pade, So it says Rav Papa that Rav Pada would say to you, Hachi Ka'amar, that this is what the Brisa is saying. Im lo Omar me achshav shlomim, if he does not say that the animal is now a shlomim, then only in that case, la'achar lamed yom ola, only in that case does it become an ola after 30 days. Right? Meaning if it started out as a shlomim, so it would say, Bar Pada would explain that if it started as a shlomim, it wouldn't magically become an ola after 30 days. Only, right, it says, right, im lo amar me'achar shlomim, only if it didn't start out as a shlomim, only then, la'achar lamed yom, ola have, right, then you could say, look, I want this to be an ola after 30 days. Midi dahava omer leisha, it's like if a fellow says to a woman, it's kachi la'achar lamed yom, become mikudeshes to me after 30 days, the mikudeshes, that she's mikudeshes after 30 days. Even if the money gets lost. So pshita, this is obvious. Where we're saying that even if he then changed his mind. So I understand we're saying that even if he changes his mind, she doesn't go back. So what if you say that, yeah, but if he changes his mind, then she does go back. So we say, yeah, but even according to the opinion, it says that by Kiddushin, if he changes his mind, he can go back, but not by a korban, because by a korban, once he commits to God that he's going to be offering this korban as an ola after 30 days, so then there's no going back. It's it's as if he already gave it over to a person to offer. It's already given, and therefore there's no going back. Okay, fine, but Bar Pada would say that there's no that there's no magic that happens, after 30 days. So you have to be poda, you'd have to do something. So right here, by the case of the sapling, he says that it's osur until it gets cut down. So then, once it gets cut down, you would actually have to redeem it. It doesn't just magically go away. Yosef Rav Ovin Rav Yitzchak Rav Yosef Kamid Rav Yirmiyah. So Rav Ovin Rav Yitzchak Rav Yosef were sitting before Rav Yirmiyah. Rav Yirmiyah was dozing off. Yazir v'Kamar, and they were saying, right, so Rav Yirmiyah is dozing off, Rav Ovin and Rav Yitzchak Rav Yosef, right, but there's a different gear that says Rav Yitzchak Rav Yosef, Bar Yosef, okay, right, as opposed to Rav Yitzchak Bar Rebbe, fine. Rav Yirmiyah was dozing off. Yazir v'Kamar, they were saying that by Pada, that according to Bar Pada, the Amar Padon Chosus v'Koches, that the sapling that you said is going to be osur until you cut it down, and even if you redeem it, it immediately goes back to being osur again. Tifshot, the buyer of Oshaya. So let's say based on this, that which of Oshaya asked, Hanosin shtei prutas leisha, that if a fellow gives two prutas to a woman, v'amar Allah, and he says to her, ba'achas iskad shili ayom, that with one of these become mikudeshes to me today, uve'achas, and with one of them iskad shili la'achas she'agarshich, become mikudeshes to me after I divorce you. So achinami, you're also david kedushay, that it would be proper kedushin, right? Just like we're saying that by this sapling, if he redeems it, right, he's poded, it immediately goes back to being osur, it immediately goes back to being kadosh. So also let's say that a fellow can give a woman two prutas and say, the first one I'm being mekadesh you now, and the other one I'm being mekadesh you after I divorce you. Alright? Isar behu, Rabbi Yirmiyah woke up, Amalu, and he says to them, how can you be comparing when he redeems it to when other people redeem it, right? We're saying these are apples and oranges. When it comes to the sapling, he's the one who's redeeming the sapling, and we're saying that it immediately goes back to becoming osur. Whereas when it comes to the kiddushin, when she gets divorced, then she becomes permitted to everybody. Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, this is what Rabbi Yochanan says, Padan hu choses v'koches, that if he's poded, then it goes back to being kadosh immediately. But padam acherim ein choses v'kedushos, that if other people were to redeem it, so then it would not go back immediately to being kadosh. V'isha k'padam acherim damya, and a woman is like being redeemed by other people, because when she gets redeemed, she then becomes she becomes permitted to everybody else. Itmar Nami was also stated, Amar Reb Ami, Amar Reb Yochanan, Lo shanu ela shepada hu, that's only if he's the one that was poded, then it immediately goes back to being osur. Aval padam acherim ein choses v'kedushes, but if other people redeem, so then it doesn't immediately go back to being Osir. Friends, that was Daf Chav Tes of Masechta Nedarim. We learned an interesting machlokes between Rav Pada and Ula about if you have a sapling that you say is also going to be also until it's cut down, so then when it gets cut down, does it immediately become permitted, or do you actually have to be podate one last time? If Pada says you have to be podate one last time, Ula says that no, it immediately becomes permitted. Rava had wanted to make a distinction, right, and say that this could only, right, Ula, when he says that it immediately becomes permitted, that would dafka be by Kedushas Domim, such as the sapling, but by Kedushas Aguf, like Korbanis or Kiddushin, it wouldn't immediately change statuses, but Abai asked Akasha on that. Alright, well friends, that was Daf Chav Tes of Masechta Nedarim. Hope you enjoy. Peace out.